This RCA radio had now been playing for a couple of weeks, so now it was time to start changing out obvious parts that could go bad in the future, like this large wire wound resistor, which you can see had been stressed out pretty good, and I replaced it with 3 new ones, and also decided to do an alignment using the data sheet. The radio aligned perfectly and performed amazingly well. It sounded exactly like a new modern tube amplifier, and of course it has a brand new modern speaker. So I continued on looking and inspecting parts, and somebody for some reason tried to open up this meter with a screwdriver, although the meter does function. The pointer was missing, so I replaced it, made it accurate, and also replaced some wires that obviously needed some attention, because these wires went to the tops of the tube, so you would have to eventually move them, and the yellow arrows point to those 3 wires. After another week of many hours of playing, a few resistors dropped out. This one's R22 and this one's R23. I replaced them and played it again for another week. So at this point I decided to add a fuse in the B+ circuit. You can see that black thing in the center there. It's a inline fuse, and we could actually pull it up through that hole in the chassis if we needed to. But here is where I put it in the wiring diagram. I figured out how much current all the tubes would require with the volume up all the way, and added about 50% to the fuse value. This was just an extra precaution. So now it was time to take the radio back, and I showed up at the warehouse and installed the speaker, and then installed the chassis, and then of course we turned it on and nothing happened, and I may have detected some smoke. Godfrey Daniel! So I turned it off and tried not to look too embarrassed with everybody standing around. I took the chassis back out of the radio and set it on the floor, leaving the speaker connected, and there it played perfectly. So it was getting close to the end of the day, so I told him I'll be back first thing tomorrow morning and we'll work on it then. That gave me time to take a look at the pictures, and what I was doing was looking in the corners because, well, both fuses didn't blow, so that must mean that since the rubber grommets that hold the radio up shrunk so much, the bolts are going too far into the chassis and shorting something out. I returned the next day with a good supply of large rubber grommets, took some careful measurements, installed the grommets, and then reinstalled the chassis, and this time when I turned it on it played perfectly, and there was no way that when they transport the radio that there would be a problem. Everything was back the way that it should be. But I still stayed there for a couple of hours playing the radio just to make sure. And Yogi Berra is right. It's not over until it's over.